The message
Terrain in op.
is produced when the EGPWS terrain mode is not available. Hear the message again.
Terrain in op.
This message exists only on enhanced GPWS-equipped aircraft. The message
Pull up.
means that you must rotate the airplane immediately to a nose-up attitude. Hear the message again.
Pull up.
When this message occurs, you can also read a pull-up indication on the PFD. Minimum terrain clearance for this message to be triggered is 30 feet. The maximum terrain clearance for the message depends on the rate of climb. The message
Don't sink.
is produced after takeoff or low altitude go around if the airplane begins to descend and loses barometric altitude. The message
Don't sink.
means that you must stop descending immediately. Hear the message again.
Don't sink.
The amount of altitude required to trigger the warning depends on the height of the airplane above the terrain. The message
Sink rate.
alerts the crew to airplane barometric altitude losing. Sink rate is too great and you must pull nose up to correct it. This message switches to
Pull up.
if the condition becomes worse. Hear the message again.
Sink rate. Pull up.
The message
Sink rate. Pull up.
alerts the crew to an airplane excessive descent rate related to the altitude above ground level and that the nose must be pulled up. This message switches to
Pull up.
if the condition becomes worse. Hear the message again to retain it in the memory.
Sink rate. Pull up.
This message exists only on enhanced GPWS-equipped aircraft. The message
Terrain. Terrain.
alerts the crew that the ground is getting closer too fast and you must pull the nose up to avoid colliding with terrain. This message switches to
Pull up.
if the condition is not cleared and becomes worse. The crew must pull up the airplane to change the airplane attitude. Hear the message again to retain it in the memory.
Terrain. Pull up.
This message exists only on enhanced GPWS-equipped aircraft. The message
Terrain.
alerts the crew that the ground is getting closer too fast and you must pull the nose up. This message switches to
Pull up.
if the condition is not cleared and becomes worse. Hear the message again to retain it in the memory.
Terrain. Pull up.
The message
Too low. Terrain.
alerts the crew that the ground is gently getting closer, not in the landing configuration. During approach, this message provides alerting for protection against an unintentional gear-up landing. The message may be activated either by flap position or gear position or both, provided at least one of them is out of landing configuration. We will play the message again.
Too low. Terrain.
The message
Too low. Gear.
alerts the crew that the ground is gently getting closer when the airplane configuration is gear up during cruise or approach. Hear the message again to retain it in the memory.
Too low. Gear.
The message
Too low. Flaps.
alerts the crew that the ground is gently getting closer during cruise or approach when flap position is not set for a landing configuration. Hear the message again to retain it in the memory.
Too low. Flaps.
The message
Glide slope.
alerts the crew that the airplane is below glide slope on ILS approaches. The message can be cancelled by pressing the Master Caution button. We will hear the message again.
Glide slope.
The message
Bank angle. Bank angle.
alerts the crew that the airplane bank angle or roll rate is too high. It means that the airplane is out of bank angle or roll rate envelope and the pilot must return to the envelope conditions. Hear the message again to retain it in the memory.
Bank angle, bank angle.
The message
Approaching minimums.
alerts the crew that the airplane is 80 feet above decision height or other minimum target has been reached. The system is reset after a message by crossing 1,000 feet radio altitude upwards. Hear the message again to retain it in the memory.
Approaching minimums.
The message
Minimums, minimums.
alerts the crew that the decision height or other minimum target has been reached. The system is reset after a message by crossing 1,000 feet radio altitude upwards. It switches a visual indication of minimum target and the PFD. Hear the message again to retain it in the memory.
Minimums, minimums.
The messages
500, 200, 100.
alert the crew that the airplane has reached associated altitudes. We will repeat the message again.
500, 200, 100.